Hello, and welcome back to the Tea and Soju Cdrama podcast, your safe spot for Cdrama chatter. I'm your host, Liliana, and it's time to sit back, grab your tea, and let's chat Asian dramas. In today's episode, I am joined by Laura and Becky, and we are going to be doing a The First Frost deep dive. Like, this is not even a review, this is going to be a deep dive, and it'll possibly be in two parts for you. So, just some housekeeping before we get into the episode. If you like the podcast, please like, share, and subscribe on the platform you listen on. That really helps the podcast reach other listeners. For more content, check out Patreon, where you can find behind the scenes, first impressions, movie reviews, and more. Finally, if you would like to chat to me or find a community, check out Discord, Instagram, and other socials. The link is in the episode notes. So, Laura and Becky are both returning guests. So, Laura, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Laura. Now, I'm really excited to be back on the podcast. I was here for the C Drama for Beginners episode
Mm-hmm.
a wee
Mm-hmm.
while back. So I'm Scottish mum, musician, teacher, all-round fanatic about Asian dramas in general and C dramas in particular. I guess if you want to find me anywhere, you can find me on TikTok. I make little videos about just my random thoughts about various things, C dramas, K dramas, K-pop. So yeah, that's me.
And Becky, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Becky. I'm very happy to be back with Liliana and to meet Laura. I also talk about dramas. I watch a lot of different things,
Mhm.
not just dramas like anime and all kinds of other things. So we just kind of talk about all of that with webtoons, manhwas, all of that fun stuff. But you can find me on TikTok as Don't Sue Rebecca and Instagram also as Don't Sue Rebecca. So, yeah.
And also, go and check out Becky's cosplay because she's ridiculously talented. When I say
So
she's
sweet. Thank you.
ridiculously talented, she really is. You know, you did those hamburger headphones. I
Yeah.
showed it. So my godparents, they have like food trucks and one of their main thing is burgers. I showed it to my godparent, like my godfather, and he goes, I would kill to have one of those. Like, that is awesome. So there you go.
Oh, thank you.
Crazy talented. Now, let's make some things clear to listeners before we get into the episode because we've been sitting here, guys, for 2 hours just chatting to each other. So, Patreons, you're going to have a mammoth of a behind the scenes where we touch on books, dramas, and everything in between. And most all of us were drinking tea before we started the podcast, at the actual recording. And then Laura brought out the soju and derailed all of us.
Sorry.
So, we're now, Becky, tell us what you're drinking right now,
I'm drinking strawberry watermelon wine.
which sounds delicious. This freaking wine sounds, I feel like, yeah, no, I don't think I'm going to be able to grab it in the UK, but it does sound delicious. I'm having watermelon soju. And what are you drinking, Laura?
I am drinking peach flavor soju from an espresso cup because I have no shot glass.
Love this. So, guys, this is just to set the tone that this episode will get chaotic. The three of us loved this drama, and we have notes on every single episode. So, we are going to be splitting it into two parts just so that we can get a little break in between. And yeah, I think that's all the background. Just before we get into the episode, I like asking guests, what have you guys been watching? So, Becky, what have you been watching recently?
Oh goodness, I've been watching so many things. Let me highlight one of the things that I'm really enjoying right now. So I'm really enjoying Ski Into Love.
Hmm.
I'm also watching Undercover High School, My Dearest Nemesis. I'm watching a Filipino drama called Ang Mutia Ng Section E. And I did start the Potato Lab, which I'm still not. I'm kind of on the fence about. And last night I started the new C drama that just came out, and I'm still also not sure about it. But I watched the first episode of The Quirky and the Charming last night.
Oh, oh, I did see that one. But that male lead gives me a cute program. Like all I can think, because he's the male lead from Cute
Wait.
Program.
No, I need to not watch
Yeah,
this then. I didn't even realize it. Because, like, I
it's the
mean,
same
it's
male lead, Becky.
okay. So I
Becky.
have dropped the quirky and the charming. I'm watching a lot of dramas right now, though, but
So,
particularly a fan of Skiing to Love the most at
if
the
you
moment.
guys are not aware, Becky and I share this one brain cell for this drama where we both really dislike Cute Programmer. And this is the male lead from that drama. So yeah.
I
This
had
male
no
lead.
idea.
The thing is, like, doesn't he look like he looked similar to Yang Yang, which is like wild to me that he looks so similar to Yang Yang, but Yang Yang's prettier than this guy, if that makes sense.
I
Um,
literally had no clue that that was the
yeah,
same
I'm
male lead.
sure it's the same guy.
It's definitely more quirky. Like the first episode, I wasn't expecting him to like fish out a designer button from a porter potty, but that was like part of it.
Sorry.
Okay,
It was like
yeah,
really weird. Like I was like watching it at like I don't know, like 1 in the morning because I'm like I'm just gonna try the first episode. I one thing I love first episodes. I love just watching the first episode of a show just to get the idea of it. This one's definitely quirky. Not sure about the charming, but if it does have the guy from Cute Programmer, you might
it
not hear
does.
me ever talk about this again.
I just double checked, and also,
Goodness.
funnily enough, so this quirky and charming one has seven. It's a 7.5 right now on MDL, and Cute Programmer is a 7.7. So I'm not
Well,
sure.
that makes
Yeah,
sense. Yeah, that does make
yeah.
sense. Yeah,
What
but
about you, Laura? What have you been watching?
Well, before the first row started, I was catching up with Blossom, which I absolutely loved.
Blossom. Love
Yeah.
Blossom.
Just so many just swoon-worthy
Mm,
moments in that one,
mm,
right? And
yes.
then I've had a major drama hangover since finishing the first roast. But I actually, while I was waiting for the episodes of the first roast, had started watching The Best Thing, which,
That's
um,
adorable.
I need
yeah,
to watch that one.
it's what is it you
You
say? I always say
definitely
it's
would
all
love it.
vibes. It's all
Yeah, it's
vibes.
so what I describe the best thing as all vibes and no plot. So
Hmm.
very it's very similar to akin to something like A Midday Snowstorm of Love, where it's a lot of vibes and very little plot.
Yeah.
I really liked it. Plus, Zhang He as boyfriend material, my
Oh,
God, it's
he's so pretty.
perfect.
He's so
Perfect. You
pretty.
would
All
really
right,
like,
you've charmed me.
yes, Becky. Like, if there's one drama I recommend you check out, it's the best thing. I reckon you really like it.
It's
You'll
just,
really.
it's
So
easy. It's so
it's so
easy.
easy, so
Yeah.
easy. It starts off basically this the female lead is in a relationship with like a horrendous guy, right? But that doesn't last very long. So we'll get that out there. And basically she's having terrible insomnia and they've tried all the Western things. So they've tried like melatonin and a bunch of stuff and she can't sleep. So her parents suggest that she goes and checks out like traditional Chinese medicine. And she goes, and lo and behold, Zhang He is her doctor. And I'm like, this dude is stunning. And like the running joke on the internet is that like if my TCM doctor looked like Zhang He, I would definitely be going every other week as well. So and basically, he is charmed by her pretty much straight away, like very much straight away. He's charmed by her, and it's just like it's just our relationship building. It's beautiful. I loved it. It's very sweet. So yeah,
Okay,
I reckon. I
I
think
will
it's
watch
very
it.
much your type of drama. It's very much your type of drama,
Yeah, just
Becky.
it's just like yeah, it's just lovely. It's just
Mm.
soft and lovely and warm and fuzzies. Which is we
Ah,
you know there's
Yes.
those are my
there's
favorite.
definitely a place for that. And then I've started watching. I've been kind of struggling to get into something since they both finished.
Yeah,
So
the
I've like
post drama slump.
yeah, but I've started a few. I've like watched one episode of a few things. So like I started watching Love Scout because I had listened to the review on here.
Oh, I
Yeah,
like Love Scout.
And
that was a good
then
one.
I also started a
Mm.
Chinese one called Love Song in Winter. I don't know if you've watched it or seen it anywhere. It's on Ichigi, I think.
I
I
think I've
think I
heard of it.
dropped it.
So it looks, I think I'm maybe 2 episodes into that one. So it looks like it's going to be kind of a second chance romance thing, but also like with
Oh,
a
yes.
sort of crime thing
Yes,
happening in
I
the
do know
background.
what this is. I do know what this is. I didn't even start it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I'll reserve judgment because I've none of them have really hooked me. But I think it's just because I'm still living in the world of the First Frost and I can't quite get over it yet.
No, but I do know which one that is. It's kind of like a second chance romance, yes, but it also comes with like a side story of crime involved. I have heard about that one. I just the female lead from that and the male lead don't inspire me much confidence, and I'm always very dubious about very long Chinese modern dramas, and that one's 36 episodes. So I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not
Mm.
not sure. And when it came out, I think a bunch of other stuff was airing. So I was like, I just don't have the time for it. So yeah. So that's all of that out of the way. Let's get into the first frost because I feel like we might be here for a little while. So I'm just going to read off the MDL synopsis, and it reads: Wen Yifan, a reporter, went to a bar called Overtime to meet her best friend Zhang Siqiao. While she was at the bar, she met Sang Yan, a department manager and one of the owners of Overtime. He was Yifan's high school desk mate and the guy she once fell in love with. The two bump into each other as Yifan pretends that she does not know who Sang Yan is, Sang Yan does the same. After some problems occur, the two accidentally become housemates and get a second chance. So I have a bit of a problem with that MDL synopsis for the simple reason that it makes it sound like a very fluffy,
Oh
very
yeah.
straightforward drama. And a lot of people went into it thinking that's what they were going to get. And
Thinking it
then
was
they
like Hidden
open
Love
up.
Part Two.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have been saying from day one, this is not Hidden Love Part 2. Like, but even from the posters, they were darker posters. Like, even the colors they were using were much darker. Um, but I think people read that and they'll, oh, this is going to be very cute. Yeah, no, that's not what it is. It is a lot darker. And I think that kind of does it a bit of disservice, I think. So this is adapted from the web novel First Frost by Zhu Yi. Now, Zhu Yi is an amazing author. I feel like this woman needs a medal and her books need to be translated into English because not only has she written The First Frost, she is also the same author as Hidden Love and When I Fly Towards You. So this woman is known for writing green flag not females, green flag males who are not just green flags, they are like the whole damn green forest. So it's very much books written by women for women, I think. That is very much like what she does. So this is 32 episodes. It aired from February 18th, 2025 to March 10th, 2025. It is a Yoku drama and it filmed from February 2024 to June 2024. Now, this is, funnily enough, I didn't know this, but there is only one, like the guy who did it directed and did the screenwriting. He did both, and it's a man. And I was like very surprised by that a little bit because I feel like these types of stories normally get adapted by women. Not saying that a man can't do it, but normally women tend to adapt to these types of stories. But I was very, very surprised that is only one. You know, he directed and did the screenwriting, and he's done things such as In Time with You from 2011, Youth Power from 2015, and What the Hell is Love from 2023. I don't actually know anything from this director, which I was kind of shocked that they kind of went with a director that hasn't done a lot. Especially when he's doing both directing and writing. So yeah, that was a bit surprising to me when I was looking up. That is literally all he kind of has in terms. He does have more like director credits, but I have not seen anything else from him at all. So yes. So next up, let's just go into the cast because the cast was when this was announced, a lot of people were a little bit outraged Because we were expecting to see, yes, a brand new female lead because this character had not appeared in Hidden Love, but a lot of people wanted Victor Ma, who is the guy who played Sangyan in Hidden Love, to come in and play the role again. I was one of those people when this was announced, and I've been following this from day one. Like day one that they announced it, they released the character posters and everything, and I was like, oh no. And it's not that I don't trust Bai Jingting. I know Bai Jingting is a great actor, but I was like, Sangyan is Victor Ma. Like, why are they changing it? Uh, Now, like looking back at it, I'm so glad they changed the character. I'm so glad. And there was actually rumors that Victor Ma himself did not want to reprise the role again because he wanted to remain as the brother and not necessarily as the love interest. So,
I saw
I
I
don't
saw
know.
a quote from him actually. I wish I'd written it
Hmm.
down. And in the quote he says he feels that he doesn't have the. He said himself he felt he didn't have the range to play the romantic stuff.
Hmm. Hmm.
And he felt it was much more appropriate for someone else to do it, and he was quite happy. He was quite
To
happy
let somebody
to let
else.
that go. Yeah. So I think he
Yeah.
kind of went on record and said that.
Yeah. So, but I think from the get-go, a lot of people were like, "Oh, they've changed the whole cast. What's going to
Yeah.
happen?" Um, so yeah, I definitely was one of those people because I was like very apprehensive. So for the female lead, we have Zhang Ru Nan. She plays Wen Yifan, and she's been acting since 2018, and she's been in things such as Love Is All from 2020, Be Yourself from 2021, A Date with the Future from 2021, and My Boss from 2024. Now, this actress for me is a little bit like hit or miss. I I've liked some of her works, but most of the time it's not necessarily her. It's like more of the projects she kinds of picks that I don't necessarily vibe with. I did watch A Date with the Future and I thought that was fun. I don't know. Have either of you watched anything else that this actress has been in previously?
I'm looking it up because my boss sounds familiar, but honestly, I don't think I have watched a ton of. Yeah, I might have watched my boss, perhaps, but I don't remember it. So I don't think I've seen a lot of her works actually.
I
Mm.
started watching one that she was in with Luo Yunxi, Love is
Oh, Love is Panacea. Yeah,
Panacea.
Panacea,
Um,
Panacea. It's a really weird
yeah,
word, that is.
but I didn't get very far into that one. I don't
I,
know. It just didn't grab me. So I've
no,
only seen her in a
no.
couple of episodes, and that's all I've ever seen her in.
Yeah. See, my problem is with that. I dropped that one as well. I love Lu Yunxi in historicals. Lu Yunxi's modern dramas, apart from Love Is Sweet, just don't hit for me for some reason. So yeah, that's one. I also checked that one out, but it just didn't really work out for me. So then we have Bai Jingting, who plays Sangyan. Now, he's been acting since 2014 and he's been in things such as The Whirlwind Girl from 2015, You Are My Hero from 2021, Reset from 2022, and New Life Begins from 2022. Now, I have seen him in New Life Begins. I loved him, but that story is definitely not about the romance. It's all about the women and like the camaraderie of women and women supporting women. So he did a great job with what he was like given. And I loved New Life Begins. Reset, freaking love Reset. I know Becky has watched it because we've reviewed Reset
I
together.
didn't know he was in it like until just now. Like I did not put the pieces together that that was him because he looks different.
He looks very different. He does look
What the
very
heck?
different.
Oh my
Becky, how
gosh.
did you not know this?
I never
It's
look
the
up the
same.
characters. I just enjoy the vibes. Even
I just
even
enjoy.
even the next actress that we're about to talk about, it took me like I don't even know how many episodes until I was like, wait,
How do you
I
not
know
know she's
her.
one of your favorite C dramas?
Listen, listen.
I wrote it.
I'm
I wrote it down for episode one. I was like, oh, my friend is, you know who?
I literally did. I didn't clock it because she also is dressed in a different style, and like she's
Yeah,
acting a lot
but
different than
still.
She's
I'm.
older. She's older.
I'm bad at that. Like I don't know what it is, but like I kid you
See,
not, did not even connect those two until I just read it and you just said it.
See, I have like I remember faces more than I remember names a lot of the time.
Mm.
So like I'll remember most of the time where I've seen people. But yeah, I loved him in New Life Begins. I have a review of the podcast for New Life Begins. Loved Reset. The drama trio featuring Becky reviewed that one over on the podcast as well. And I actually quite liked You Are My Hero. I thought that was fun. Um, as well. Have you ever seen him in anything else, Laura?
No, this is my first. This is my first.
Really?
Yeah.
You got introduced to Bai Jingting.
I did. Yeah. I just met him and I'm definitely interested.
Yes, yes,
Yep.
definitely. Reset is a really good one to watch. But it is like crime. I find, you know what works really well when you're in like a post-drama slump, just like completely deflecting in a complete different direction. So watch something that is like a crime show instead of a romance. That sometimes works for me. So
A wee
yeah,
pivot.
Reset is really good. Yeah, we pivot. Reset is great. Great, great, great. And Reset is one that is really good to even watch with like partners or people that don't necessarily watch Asian dramas because it's very easy to watch. It's so compelling. So
It'll
compelling.
it'll have you glued to your seat. But the first episode is a little confusing. So like make sure if
Yes.
you watch it with someone, you watch the first and second episode. Because then,
It's
you'll
great.
be that forever. Because I'm that drama.
I need
It's
to.
basic
My list is growing talking to you two. Honestly, the amount I've already noted down.
But basically, like Reset, it's basically like female lead and male lead get on a bus. The bus is journeying. It gets to a bridge and it blows up. And they wake back up and they're back on the bus again. So they're stuck in the time loop and they have to
Well, like
figure out.
Groundhog Day.
Yes, basically. It's basically like that. And they basically have to figure out how the heck, what's blowing up the bus, where's the bomb, and, what, how are they going to get out of this time loop? How are they going to sort it out? So that's basically what it is. It's really good. Really, really good. Really good.
Is there
So yeah,
something coming out that's like almost like Reset?
I'm dying. I'm dying, right? So there
Is
is a
it
new.
the Tan Jansi one? No, am I thinking of
No, no,
something
no, no,
else?
no. It's a Bai Ting show. Um, oh, do you mean that there's something
There's like a
that is,
Reset 2.0 coming out. I don't
oh, okay,
remember.
okay. Yes,
Yeah.
there is, but that's not been talked about. There is meant to be another drama. Um, that's kind of like Reset season 2, supposedly. That it's supposed to be called Restart, but
Oh.
we have no information whatsoever, not even like any cast or anything has been announced. So that one's just been in the works. I got excited because I thought you were talking about. So Bai Jingting is in a new drama and it's called Mobius, and that's going to come out at some point. Guys, when I tell you this man looks fine as heck in this new drama, he's like in suits and he's playing a cop. I think he's looking great. So that's why I got very excited because I thought that was the drama you mentioned. when, when you
Okay.
said that he's gonna look great in that drama. So then for secondary cast, the only other two people that are kind of like the second couple, we have Zhang Miao Yi. Now, this lady has only been acting since 2021, which is
That's
insane to
crazy.
me. It's insane to me. She's actually very interesting as like an actress. So she did go to a proper um acting school and she is like graduated from that, but also she owns her own studio. Like she is the boss of her, which is incredible and also very, very odd to see in such a young actress.
Yeah.
Because she's only been acting for 4 years, less than 4 years or so. So it's mind-boggling and good on her for owning her own, her own studio. So she's been in things such as Please Don't Spoil Me from season 1 to season 5, which is where I first saw her. It's very like, it's those tiny short dramas. she gets thrown into her own book and she knows what's happening. It's that type of story, but it's a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with this. She's obviously been, yeah, Becky, remember, she's been in When I Fly Towards
I know
You.
she's in When I Fly Towards You. It just like takes me a bit because I'm not good with names and I'm not good with faces. So normally, like, it just hits me and I'm like, wait a minute, I
Oh, wait
love
a minute, I
this
know
actress.
that.
So I should probably
Don't
start
you?
looking up dramas beforehand.
I literally wrote in my notes, "Oh, her friend is Sue Sai Sai." And
Susai.
then and then in all of my notes, like honestly, it took me until about halfway through to actually start referring to her as her like this character's name because I just
Oh
kept
my
calling her
gosh.
remember
It's
her
just
name. I
Susan.
kept calling her Sue Sai Sai.
That's Susai.
So she's also been in Exclusive Fairy Tale from 2023, which is it's a ride,
I
guys. It's
remember
a
that
ride.
one. I remember
Remember
that
that
one.
drama? Because
Yeah.
the actor she plays across from is a K-pop idol, I believe. From is he from 17 or something? He
I
is. I'm sure
is he?
he is. Yes, I'm sure. I'm sure. I'm gonna look it up very, very quickly. But I'm sure he is a K-pop idol. I know he's an idol. I'm unless I'm making it up. Dancer and actor and member of 17. Yeah, there we go. See, I'm not crazy.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know
He
that.
yeah, so that was a lot of fun, that drama. A lot of people were watching this drama just for him, like people who are just into K-pop and they were watching it to support him. It was very wild time. And she's also been in Practice Daughter from 2024. And then we have Edward Chen, who plays Su Hao An. He is actually Taiwanese, not Chinese, and he's been acting since 2017. Now, he's not been in a lot of stuff, but he's been in Mermaid Sauna, which sounds it sounds yeah.
It
And that's a
sounds. It
20
sounds.
it sounds
Yeah.
it's 2018 drama from and it's a Taiwanese drama. He's been in Lesson in Love, which is a 2022 drama from Taiwan. I was gonna watch Lesson in Love, but it's kind of like it's a bit of a ick for me because it's kind of like a student and teacher
Oh
type
yeah.
of
No.
relationship. So
I struggle with those. I
yeah.
can't deal with that. That's
Yeah,
too
yeah,
close
yeah.
to home for me.
I imagine I was saying you being a teacher would be
Yeah.
even worse, wouldn't it?
Oh
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I struggle
That's
even a
true.
wee bit with like see the like proper youth dramas. Even
Hmm,
that
hmm.
I struggle with a wee bit because I'm like, oh, they're meant to be teenagers, you know, like it just
Yeah,
it makes me feel a bit icky, you know. But
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I did look up
So
the description for Mermaid Sauna. Would you like me to read it to you guys?
please go ahead and do.
do I
Okay,
need more soju?
it's only one sentence. It's only one sentence.
Oh no.
After one night of drinking, an owner of a gay sauna, an accountant, and a student all switch bodies.
Do you
Okay.
know what?
Wild
That
ride.
I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I want to watch it just for there's an expression in the UK, and I'm sorry, listeners, if you know, people in the UK sometimes say, "Oh, for shits and giggles." I feel like that's what that drama would be like, just for
Well,
that alone.
now that I hear that, I'm sure when I looked him up, I had found an interview of him talking, and he was being asked why he's chosen to be in like so many BL dramas. So I wondered if maybe like that was his thing.
Oh,
And he said,
maybe.
he'd made some comment in the interview about how he's got a sibling who's LGBT, and he does it to show his
Oh,
support for the community or something, which I thought was sweet. But
that's so
obviously, I don't know
sweet.
how many he's been in. But yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
really sweet. That is really, really sweet, actually. Yeah, I do quite like that. Um, but yeah, so that is, I had never seen this actor before. He is a Taiwanese actor. So he was also in the 2024 Chinese drama In Between, which I might go back to that one. I kind of put it on hold because it's a very messy drama in terms of like there's a bit of betrayal, there's a bit of, cheating. So it's kind of like a bit of a messy drama. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, so that's our cast, so to speak. There's other people, but that's the people that are essentially our main cast. And you can watch this in Yoku. Yoku on YouTube and on Netflix. So this is very widely available. Now, just a couple of facts about this. By the 10th of March 2025, this drama had exceeded 1.2 billion viewership in Yoku. That is just on Yoku. So that doesn't take into account like Netflix streams or anything like that. That is just purely on the Yoku app. And it became the hottest youth idol C drama at the beginning of the year. True, this was the drama that everybody and their mother was chasing. So I feel like that's apt to get that title. It was ranked in the S plus tier, i.e., top performing shows category on Yunhu. So a lot of people, I sometimes say, oh, it's an S plus tier drama. That means that this is what it means. It means it has a lot of money behind it, but also that it performs really well. So those tend to be, your S plus dramas. So it says on Yonhoo data charts on 27th of February 2025, it was ranked the sixth show on Netflix top TV shows worldwide and has set a record for the highest ranked C drama on Netflix global daily ranking history. So that means it beat even Hidden Love, which is insane to me because but it kind of also makes sense because a lot of people watched Hidden Love sporadically. Like, they came to Hidden Love at different dates. Whereas with this one, because it was the much awaited sequel to Hidden Love, a lot of people were already prepared and ready to watch it at the same time. So it makes sense that, it would become such a phenomenon. Now, currently, this holds a 9 on MDL and it holds a 5.4 on Douban. A 5.4 on Douban is honestly not that bad. It's not that bad. And I think a lot of like Chinese netizens had a problems with it about like the adaptation itself of the female lead and how they made her more of a victim in the show than she was in the book. So I think there was a bit of, problems there. Some people just found that they didn't like it. Other people just thought, it wasn't fluffy. And that was never going to be the case. I always said, I don't think the show itself marketed itself as a fluffy rom-com or anything like that. So I don't think it's the show's problem. I just think a lot of people, like I said, expected this to be Hidden Love 2.0, and that was never gonna be the case. So yeah, I think that's like all of the information out of the way. So do we want to do our general thoughts without any spoilers? So this is just gonna be, what we thought about this show, and all of that goodness. So I'm just gonna go for the first thing I have down for like my general thoughts is the beginning credits. Like I love the beginning credits to this. They're so pretty to look at. And and also I'm thankful that it's not like a lot of C dramas. It doesn't really give you much of anything about the show. Like there's nothing too much in the beginning credits because I hate when that happens. Um and so I wasn't sure how they were going to do this, but I really enjoy how they chose to give us little flashbacks at the beginning of every
Yeah.
episode and then go into the modern, like current time story. So I just loved that whole aspect of it. What did you guys think? What did you guys enjoy, without giving too many spoilers away? I've put down, we could talk about the cinematography, the acting, the OST, anything that's like general and not any spoilers. So, Becky, would you like to go ahead and, just see what you thought about this one?
Yeah, of course. So I really loved it. I definitely went into it not, I mean, yeah, the posters were a little dark. She's crying, but I didn't really think in the first episode there would be so many trigger warnings. In that, definitely, there was a lot of more darker tones in it than I was expecting, but I still think they did a really good job with it. I loved the cinematography, the acting, the OSTs were so good. They were so
So
good.
catchy.
Oh my
So
gosh.
catchy.
They were so nice to listen to. And I, like you
Mhm.
said, with the flashbacks, seeing those little flashbacks and then those things at the end of each episode where it would just show like stay to like, like more
Like from, and also it
scenes.
kind of, you would see the other perspective at the end of the
Oh
episode.
yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
perfect. I loved it. I just really love how they did this drama. I remember reading the manhwa, but I have not read the novel. But I only read a little bit of the manhwa. But
Mhm.
overall, I really did love this show, and I thought they did a really good job. So,
What
Laura.
about you, Laura? What did you think about this show?
Oh, I really loved it. I really loved it. I think I like everybody else, I was a massive fan of Hidden Love, but I didn't really go into it expecting Hidden Love, so that didn't bother me in the slightest
Mm.
that it wasn't the
Mhm.
same vibe. And actually I liked this one because it felt more grown up to me. I felt we were seeing these characters at a different stage of life, to kind of what we were
Mhm.
seeing in
Mhm.
Hidden Love. And I like that because I think that's more relatable for somebody my age. You see them as adults and they meet as adults. I mean, I know you get to see a wee bit of their past as well, but I felt like I liked that about it. Um, and I think I think character wise, I think they were all. I think I tried to think of it as a completely separate drama from like
Yeah.
just not related to Hidden Love at all. And I actually
Mhm.
think they all did a great job with their characters. And the OST is brilliant. The songs are great. But the other thing I loved was the score underneath the scenes.
Yes. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought it was so effectively done. There's a couple of moments like which I can talk about as we go through that I actually specifically wrote down what was happening in the score because I was like, wow, this is just brilliant.
Oh, I
Um,
love this that we're gonna get to see like a little behind the scenes of the music as well.
Did the music? That's so fun.
it's my thing. It's my thing. So yeah, I'm a bit nerdy about that stuff, but yeah, so I love that as well. And there's a couple of just really beautiful shots as well. Like there's a couple of moments as well going through that I wrote down because I was like, oh, just that like visual. If I could just take a screenshot of that, it's incredible. So yeah, I think overall, I'm not sure I'm objective about this drama though. I think this is going to be one of those I'm not super objective about. You know.
No. So I've already said, so in 2023, it was a great drama year for me. Great, like amazing drama year for me. And I was so hopeful for 2024. But in 2023, yeah, no. Becky's shaking her head. Yeah, no. 2024 was not it for dramas.
Was
But
not
in
it.
2023, I came to the end of the year and I did my 2023 C drama wrap up for the year. And I had something that I called my eras dramas. This was dramas that I was like so in that world for the amount of time that they were airing. I was so in love with them that it became a whole era, right? And Hidden Love was an era drama for me in 2023 when it aired. So now to have the first frost. And I said in 2024, I had no dramas that were really like eras to me, which was really sad. Um, 2025 is already looking so much better because I said it when I finished this drama. This is an eras drama for me. This is a type of drama that I'm like, I love it and I can't be objective about it. It's everything about it from the small details, from the way they use lighting in terms of like clothes. For example, in the flashbacks, we see Sang Yan always wearing very bright colors, but then when we come into the modern time, he's always dressed in dark colors until this isn't a spoiler because we all know they're going to get together, right? So until they get together, and that's when his colors, like the clothes he wears, become browns and whites and blues, which he wasn't. He was only wearing black before. So it's those little details that are just beautiful, beautiful to a watcher that encompasses the whole drama in general. When we talk about something that is truly pleasing to the eye, it means it's not just well acted, well directed. It's like the little details that make the drama as a whole. Like her nickname, right? Her nickname is Wen Zhang. That is her nickname. And the fact that that's her nickname because it means like that translated is first frost. And it's her dad gave her that name because she was born on the first frost, like on, the day of the first frost. And it's like it's those little details, and I think those little details are not necessarily just the drama itself. It comes from this author. This author is honestly a master at doing this. She did it with Hidden Love, she did it with When I Fly Towards You. Like, you can see weaving the details. And actually, I saw something that's been like circulating around, that this author is circulating the love languages through her male lead.
I saw that too.
And
It's
I
so true
love
though.
it. It is. I love it. I love it. So I don't think I can quite remember, but I think Duan Jiashu from Hidden Love is kind of like touch, like,
Affection, yeah. Physical
affection
affection,
and
yeah,
touch, physical affection. Whereas Sangyan is acts of service.
for sure.
Whereas, oh my God, I forgot. When I Fly Towards You, what is the male lead's
Rang.
character's
I don't know.
Is
His
it
whole
Rang
quality
character.
Rang?
time? Is
Rang
it
Rang.
Yeah, his
quality
is
time?
quality time. Yeah, his is like
Yeah.
quality time. So I that is beautiful to see. And this is what I mean when I say there's certain things that only I feel like, I mean, men can write it too, but women will write in a way that is like so profoundly to women, I feel. Um and I just loved it. I loved this drama in general. I really, really did. So yeah, agree with you guys on the OST. I have like most of the tracks on my OST playlist because they're just so good. And exactly like Hidden Love and all of the greats, Love Between Fairy and Devil, all of those really big dramas, as soon as those chords are played, you are right there in that drama again. And that's like a beautiful thing to happen when it comes to an OST. I feel like that demonstrates how good of an OST it is and how well it's used. It's if, transports you back into that drama.
That's
So,
the beauty of OST in C-drama as well, because
yes,
it's written for
yes.
the drama. It's like it
Yeah.
totally just, it takes you to that place.
Yeah, because I think Korean dramas also have most of their OSTs written specifically for the dramas. I'm not sure. Do you know, Becky, if they have?
I feel like most of them are written for the
Hmm.
dramas, but some of them, it could honestly just be, hey, this sounds like it.
Hmm.
But most of the time, I think so, because, they have the same vibe as like the scene or the characters
Yeah.
and what's going
Yeah, yeah,
on.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I feel like it's something that's very unique to Asian dramas in general, because like in the West, we tend to, you know, oh, we'll throw this song in there or whatever. But in the, in Asia, for Asian dramas, those dramas are specifically written for those dramas, and it makes the world of a difference. The world of a difference. So yeah, I completely agree. Completely agree. So let's rate this, and then we can get into spoiler territory. So the rating system works. We have one teacup. It was something I watched. It wasn't good, but something made me finish, and that is a 1 to a 5.5. Spoiler alert: ain't nobody rating a 1 on this. We have two teacups, the okay ones, dramas I don't really recommend, but they were an okay background watch, and that's a 6 to a 7 on MDL. Three teacups, the enjoyable ones, good dramas, they were enjoyable, and I would recommend to people who enjoy this genre, and that's a 7.5 to an 8 on MDL. Four teacups, the loved ones. These are dramas that I really loved. There might be a couple of problems with it, but overall, a really enjoyable drama that I would recommend to a wider audience. And that's an 8.5 to a 9.5 on MDL. And then we have the five teacups, the rose glass no faults dramas. This rating is reserved for those dramas that you love so much that you are willing to ignore any problems they may have. And that's your elusive tens on MDL. For me, it's a five. Like, I'm not even gonna, it's an era drama. If it qualifies as an era drama, it's gonna be a 10 for me. Like, it's just, my era's dramas tend to be my tens. So I know the drama isn't perfect. Do I care? Absolutely not. It's still a five teacups. And that's what I mean. when something is a five teacups. It's like, there's niggly bits, it's problematic, but here and there, or they might have a bit of a fault, but you don't care. So I'm a five teacups. What are you rating this one, Becky?
Okay. So I'm going to give it a 4. I really did love it, but there was definitely some things that made me not give it a 5. I still,
Mm-hmm.
really highly would recommend it, but there's like also just the fact that like when recommending it, I will have to, tell others, like there's tons of trigger warnings. You have to know this is a very dark drama, and so that's but the thing I have qualms with, we'll go into that later. Not
Oh, I'm intrigued. I
really
do have something that I
qualms.
have a
Like,
qualms with
yeah,
it,
it's not
but
like
I can also, it's one
intense,
of
but
those
it's
things.
small.
Yeah, for me, there is something that happens in this drama where I don't like it, but I understand it. And that's the
Yeah,
difference between like a four and a five for me. Like the
exactly.
four and the five, like for four for me is I don't like it and I don't understand why it was done. Whereas a five, I'm like, I don't like it, but I understand why it was done. So I think that's more along those lines. What
Yeah.
about you, Laura? What are you rating this one?
I'm a 5 too. I just don't think I can be fully objective about this drama
And
because
neither can I.
it like, it's the ones for me that just like get you somewhere in your soul that you just like, for me, I just loved it so much and it touched me so much that yeah, it's got to be a 5 for me. I do understand. I don't think it's perfect because I don't think anything is perfect and obviously art
No.
is subjective anyway, so you know, but that's like you say, that's not what we're saying. We're not saying it's perfect. It's just that for us, anything that isn't perfect is we're happy to ignore or,
Yeah.
just give it a bye because yeah, everything else was lovely enough.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's more what along the lines of what it is. I know I was having a discussion with somebody actually, and they said, "Oh, I never rate anything a 10 because there's always room for improvement." And I always say, right, when I first started tea and soju, I feel like I need to bring this back because when I first started tea and soju, I would review dramas and I would give them two ratings. I would give them my heart rating and my head rating. So my heart rating is purely based on feeling how I felt watching this drama, which this for me, for example, for the first frost, it would still be a 10 because I was so in love with it. If I were to put my thinking head on and actually like analyze it, which sometimes I just don't want to because I don't want to do that, then maybe it might be like a 4.5. Like I'd knock a couple of points for a couple of reasons. But, sometimes there's just those dramas that I can't help but love unconditionally. So I feel like that this is one of those. So we are now heading into our spoiler section, guys. Now, if you haven't watched this and you don't like spoilers, then turn away, watch the show, and then come back and listen. If you don't mind spoilers, please feel free to carry on. And to be fair, this is a modern drama. I mean, the steps they're gonna hit are very likely the steps a modern romance drama will hit in general. So, but this is your spoiler warning. So, how this is going to work out is we've decided that we're not going to be sat here for goodness knows how long. So we're going to divide this for you guys. And in this first part, we're just going to talk about very briefly what we thought about the characters themselves. And we're going to talk about episodes 1 through 10. And then next week, you guys, well, it won't be next week for us because we're recording it in one go after a little pause, but it will be next week for you guys. You will get the second part of this review where we will review episodes 11 through 32. Because if you've watched this drama, a lot of stuff goes down in the second half of this drama. A lot of stuff goes down. So it deserves its own time. And we didn't want to be constrained by, oh, we need to keep this moving or whatever it may be. So I was looking through, guys, and I turned my notes into a Google Doc. A Google Doc. And I have 10 A4 side pages of notes, just so you know. I have the name of every single episode, which also that was something we didn't touch on the non-spoilers. It's the fact that we get these beautiful names for every single episode, which I feel like, Becky, did you watch it on Netflix?
I did, yes.
Because if I'm hearing correctly, Netflix did not translate the name of the episodes. Is that
Oh,
right?
I don't know if they did or not. I feel like that's something I didn't really realize. But
because that's actually
yeah,
so significant too, because the name
that's
gets finished
crazy.
at so you get half the name at the beginning, and then you get another half of the actual episode title at the
Yes.
end. So and then it's just it's so nice. It completes the
So for the
yeah
first episode, for example, so at the beginning of the episode, when they say like episode one, they flash the screen black and they say episode one, right? And
Yeah.
then they give you the title of the episode, right? And they give you half of the title then. And then like in the post credits, when we have like those little scenes from Sangyan's point of view, they give you the second half of the title. So for episode one, for example, the title is Goodbye Sangyan and then Goodbye Wen Yifan. Like that is the title. But I'm sad because I feel I've heard people comment that on Netflix they don't have necessarily the titles. And I think because a lot of people just automatically have skip credits on,
Yeah.
that won't even appear. So I am just gonna quickly, I don't know if I should read them all because I have all the titles. I don't know if I should read them all or read them as we talk about the episode. I feel like I'll read them as we talk about the episode. So episode one is named Goodbye Sangyan, Goodbye Wen Yifan. So in this episode, we obviously have them you know, we meet them. And what I've written down is that they meet back up at his bar over time. I am going to say, I very much appreciate the fact that they meet straight away. Like episode one, they are
Yeah.
like back together. I really enjoy that aspect. And one of my notes just says, we need a minute for Bai Jingting dressed in all black, casually leaning on a wall. That is all. Carry on. That is literally one of my notes. And I'm like, what do I do with myself? So that's like, you know, also, I don't know if you guys caught this, but there's a little Easter egg in episode one. And I'm not sure
yes
if
the
did
song.
you catch this?
I
So
was
there is an Easter egg
I
in
might have missed
episode
it.
one, and the song that is playing when Yifan goes into Sangyan's bar is the theme tune for Hidden Love. And it's being
Oh, wait, no, I
sang,
remember this. Yeah.
yeah,
He's
and
singing
it's
in the
being,
empty swimming
Oh,
pool.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. And it's being sang on stage by the actual singer of the OST, Zhang Yihao. So I was like, this is a great little, little Easter egg. I love it when dramas do this, where they kind of thread little bits of each other in this way. So I really, really like that.
Do you know what else was good about that? Is I feel like it was almost like whoever was making it was thinking, right, we have to get this out the way in the first episode. We have to give them
Yeah,
what they're looking for so we can.
exactly.
yeah. So let's talk about Sangyan and Yifan kind of meet up at this bar and they both pretend to not know each other. So in episode one, we obviously see that they break up and then we move 6 years into the future. For me, I'm a mega fan of this kind of storytelling where you kind of see where they start and you kind of see where they are, but you don't know the middle of the story.
Yeah.
I really enjoy storytelling like that.
The like show don't tell thing, right?
Yes, yes. What did you guys think of like that opening scene? How they met back up and all of that?
I can go. Sorry, I was just
Yeah,
waiting to
you
say
can go first.
I was trying to be polite.
No, you're
You're
good.
fine.
Wait. Well, first of all, can I just get something out of the way? See the very first scene, this like the car accident, and she's getting the people out of the car and stuff. I just thought that was going to be so much more significant to the plot. Like,
No, it's like
Yeah, I
I
a
was
forgot
thing.
like
about
that.
that
Yeah,
I forgot
completely.
about that.
I
Oh my
genuinely was like,
goodness.
I watched the whole thing. And I was like, oh, this must be important, and then it just never was talked about again. But
Maybe it's
anyway,
just a way of introducing her character or
yeah,
something.
yeah. But anyway, no, it was that's an aside. But no, I liked that. I liked that, like you say, that they met back up straight away, and you get to see a wee bit of, like about the way she's kind of living, which gives you a little bit of insight into her character and how she's feeling about herself, I think,
Mm-hmm,
what she's
mm-hmm.
kind of willing to put up with. And I was also told you very excited that her friend was Suzai. Um, and then, do you know what else I noticed in this first episode was, and actually I think it's kind of a theme throughout the drama. The more you watch, is in this first episode we keep being shown down these like long corridors. We keep getting these
Mm-hmm,
like narrow camera angle
Mm.
shots, like down these
mm-hmm,
long
mm-hmm.
corridors, and it's I don't know if that's some sort of like foreshadowing or if it's like to kind of represent like the passage of time between them,
Yeah,
or like
yeah.
the gap between them at that. Or maybe I'm just overthinking it, but. I noticed that in the first episode, and I loved the fact that the music under their first meeting, it was this kind of like jazzy piano tune, which
Mm-hmm.
like works because it's the setting in the bar, but also it's so different from anything else that's under their interactions from that point onwards. So it's like that uncomfortable thing of like, we're this first meeting and they're both kind of trying to judge each other and what they
Mm-hmm.
Oh
remember or what they're
yeah.
going to acknowledge. And
Yeah.
I just thought that was a really clever, like wee musical thing that, once you
They
move through the
used.
drama, you go, it doesn't really get
Mhm.
used again, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
What
I
about you, Becky?
feel like, well, like what you said, I'm just really glad they met up right away. Because, like, some C
Mhm.
dramas, they make it drag. Like, they show different points
Yeah.
of views and then they have the big reveal and they meet. But, like, this, it was right away. So we knew exactly what we
Mhm.
were getting into. We're like, okay, they're pretending to ignore each other. What happened here? Like, we saw a brief moment from their past, but, like, we don't really know what happened in between all of that. Um, but like what you were saying, like they haven't seen each other in so long. So when she's like, my like I have lost my bracelet or there's a bracelet here, he's over here like, who gave her this bracelet? Like what's, like
Yeah,
thinking
yeah.
that, something's going on. But it's kind of like they're just rebuilding, kind of and figuring out like what they've been doing all this time. But then, it really grows into a lot bigger than that. But I really loved kind of the introduction of both the characters and also what Laura was saying, how they kind of showed and introduced the character. And I'm trying to like think now about that accident because I remember watching that and then I didn't think about it again. But I think it kind of tells a lot about her character because these people were chasing her and her
Oh,
coworker.
that
And
accident. It
then
just
That's
clicked.
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they were chasing her and her coworker and like took this stuff back that she was going to be reporting on. Like it was almost a
Mm-hmm.
dangerous situation that we saw here. And then they got in a car accident and she didn't falter. She just went right in and helped these people that were terrible to her and like literally took her like, we're going to get them in a car accident. But then, so it's almost like we see this side of her that she is selfless, but then we
Mm-hmm.
see more to it where like she's selfless and she likes to help others and like she's there for others, but she's not there for herself because she doesn't believe she
Yes.
deserves that, which
Yeah.
was very deep with them going into that. I didn't even like put that two and two together until you mentioned the
No,
accident. So I'm
no.
like, that's so interesting how they did that.
See,
That's
but it's
also
all
that scene's also not in the book.
Interesting.
the
Okay.
So that's an
the
added
car.
scene. Yeah.
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 Oh,
So we can't talk about episode one without talking about the elephant in the room from episode one. And that
yeah.
would be the attempted rape on her by like this man. So
Mhm.
she's living in not great conditions. It's like a shoebox in a shared apartment of sorts. And it's like it's old, it's not a great spot to be living in. And there's this man that's kind of been making her uncomfortable, and he almost rapes her in that episode. And I think this is the exact moment when people were like, oh, this ain't hidden love, is it?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
because I don't think people weren't expecting to have an almost rape scene in episode one. I don't think that's what people, and that's foreshadowing more of the
Yeah.
things that are coming later. That's just like a touch. Now, what I believe is, if I'm not mistaken, I haven't read the book, but in the book, this attempted like rape does not happen. I feel like
No, it doesn't. Well,
she's
it's
reporting on on a rape scene, isn't she?
no, no, no. So the neighbor does harass her, but it's not. He doesn't get as far to attack her. He's just like
Okay.
he's like chapping on her door in the middle of the night and harassing her and like shouting on
Hmm.
her to come out. And he's. I mean, it's a scary situation, but they've intensified it for the drama for sure. He doesn't actually get to put hands on her in the book
Okay. Okay. See, I
at
think
all.
that's from what I saw online, that's what a lot of people were kind of like a bit mad
Yeah.
about because it's not necessarily to have in the drama, I suppose. It's a scene that is not necessary, but I can understand them putting it there so they can start to link what happened in her past, if that makes sense.
Can I just jump on that from it's kind of with a different episode, but because I remember people were talking about like, some of the stuff that was in the book, some of the stuff that wasn't in the book. And a lot of the
Hmm.
times, when these situations would occur, like, some of it, isn't in the book. So people were thinking like they're making her into, a victim.
A
And
victim. Yeah,
and
that's what I heard.
I'm curious, since you know about the book, was that, and without giving a lot of context, was that like Coates' scene in it when she's walking down the street and like the man decides to just, do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Uh-huh. Yeah. No,
It wasn't in the book. So yeah,
no.
so that's the thing that I think we were seeing a lot of people talking about just like how they kept adding scenes to just like I don't even know. They weren't they I don't know how to explain. It wasn't like character progression or anything. I mean, they literally were just throwing these scenes in that were just like awful for her and her life, like, So that was the one thing with that.
There was an episode in one of the early episodes. I can't remember. I'm trying to find my comment that I've written in my notes, but it was something like, "Oh my gosh, this girl is just an absolute creep magnet," because there seems to be like
Yeah,
this all of it. There's like a period where she's
exactly.
just getting constantly like from all angles. At some point, she's encountering another creepy dudes. But and I know I get what you're saying about how that could make her a victim in the sense that yes, she is victims of these crimes, but I also think you could maybe look at it from another angle and actually look at how resilient she is because she's quite
Oh yeah.
strong and she
Oh
tries
yeah.
to kind of take care of these things on her own and not really bother anybody with it and she's not scared to like report these she doesn't
Yeah.
Yeah.
so in some ways like I think it does kind of also show that side of her character where she's actually quite brave and she's actually quite resilient despite the fact that she's had all this trauma she kind
Yeah.
of
Well,
she's not scared to do the right thing
I don't think she's a victim. They were saying she's a victim.
yeah yeah
That's not
Yeah.
my opinion. But it was definitely just like interesting to see, because another perspective of that could just be like this is how much harassment women deal with, like sometimes
Mhm.
on a daily basis, throughout their lives. And, some people just don't like the realism of seeing like how many times, women do get harassed in a day, which especially in the city, that definitely goes up a lot more.
Yeah. And I think because, like, after she gets an almost rape scene, we then get into episode two, and these three guys that were friends of this man that she sent to jail now are like coming for her. And I'm like, what is, this is the point where a lot of people were thinking, yeah, she's having it from all sides, isn't she? And I said the last thing I sort of said for episode one though was I love that after her almost rape, she went to her best friend's house, and even though they didn't know, they loved on her and she felt comfort. I
Yeah.
adore, adore.
Yeah, they're the warmest family.
They
I
were
love
so
those two. Yeah.
cute.
And the
Aw.
thing is, they are your typical family that can show you can do a lot with little. There's a lot of them living in this very small house, and a lot of them have to do chores and they have to do, but there is no lack of love in that home. There is so much love in that home, and there's enough love to welcome Yifan into that world. So I think that is beautiful. I love Si Chiao's family. Like I adore her. I truly, truly do. I think she's got a beautiful family, and I love the fact that although, you know, a lot of things are getting thrown at Yifan, she has that support system there for her. And I really, really liked watching that scene in that specific episode. So then we have episode two. Episode two is so the beginning is your name, and then the second part is your name is written in my heart. And I'm like, these titles just get better and better and better. And for episode two, I have her having to deal with the three men and him coming to help her because they wanted to hurt her because she went to the police over the guy who almost raped her. Like the thing is, it's a very, and I think it's even more meaningful because she doesn't even ask. She just goes straight to the police, right? Whereas it makes it even more impactful in the later episodes when we find out what truly happened to her and how she was so afraid to go to the police and how she didn't want, you know.
She was kind of coerced into not going to the police when she was
Exactly.
young. Yeah, she's
Exactly.
Yeah.
yeah.
So I really like that aspect. I love Sangyan just like shoving her in the car and then beating these three guys up. I'm just like, I love this.
And the fact
I
that
love this.
he goes back
Oh,
to make
yeah.
sure
Goes back.
there's
Yeah,
no
he goes
footage.
back. He goes back and beats them even further. Like this is great. This is great. We all need, I mean, is violence ever the answer? No. But these men were being pricks and almost trying to rape her. So they deserve every punch that they got. That's
Yeah.
that's that's what I think.
We're not rooting for these guys. It's fine.
No,
They can have a beating.
no, we are not rooting for these guys in the slightest. I also wrote down for episode two, the fact that he goes with her to her house. She keeps saying goodbye. So this is after the three guys try and rape her, right? And it's the smallest thing. It's the smallest thing, but it isn't because she's obviously been in a very vulnerable situation, right? And he keeps following her. And they get to like the downstairs door or whatever. And she's like, okay, bye then. And he follows her. And then like he literally follows her into the apartment just to make sure that she's safe. And, you know, like I said, she keeps saying goodbye to him, but he keeps chasing her. And he literally looks around and he goes, you're not staying here tonight. Come with me. That's literally what he says to her. Like, you're obviously not safe in this environment. You must be crazy if you think I'm leaving you here in this place where you were almost raped twice at this point. So we're going, pack a bag. We're going. And I'm like, that is the most obvious response to the situation. Obviously. So, what did you guys think about? Because obviously, he's very quickly brought into the world, and we obviously needed something to happen to kind of force them to live in the same spot, did we? So, what did you guys think about like what happened in this episode?
You can go, Laura.
I know we should take turns. We should plan this in advance. We should have planned this so we know who goes first.
Yeah.
I gotta think of my thoughts.
Well, I do have thoughts on the present day stuff that's going on in this episode, but can I just start with see the flashback at the beginning? There was such a wee quotable moment that like I just loved. You know when they first both come to the classroom late, and then the teacher thinks that she's Sang Yan
Oh
because he
yeah.
thinks that's a girl's name.
Hmm.
But then she says this. She says to him, "Oh, it's so cute." When they're sitting next to each other at a desk, and she says, "I felt like for a moment there was another me in the world." Because the teacher mixed up their names, and I
Oh,
was like,
Yeah,
"Oh
yeah,
my
yeah.
gosh!" So because that's all she wants is just like
that's
you know
precious.
Somebody.
someone
Yeah.
to love her, someone
Yeah.
to care that she exists. So I just thought it was so cute. And then but then when she What else about so for episode two, there's a bit where like I think it's after the attempted rape has happened, but before the three guys have come after her,
Mhm.
and she goes back to her apartment and she moves her bed across the door so no one can get in.
Yeah,
And then she just lies down and she's like silently crying. And oh my God, I just felt that loneliness for her so much. Like it was just like that moment there where you felt she was so on her own, which I think makes it even more effective when Sang Yan kind of makes it
comes
clear to her
in.
that she's not on her own, you know?
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
Hmm.
think that's, yeah, I just really just felt that so much for her. And then he's great. I mean, the other thing, she ignores him. So after the men come after her and she's running away from them, he says her name and she looks at him and then she runs in the other direction.
It's the other
Which I was like,
direction.
what are you doing? What are you doing?
Oh, I was yelling at my TV. I was,
Ah,
cause like, but it just goes back to her, no, like, just thinking she doesn't deserve anybody to come to her aid. She
Hmm.
deserves,
Hmm.
no
mhm.
one should step in, no one should help her. She has to do this on her own because she just thinks that she's on her own, even though she does have that support system of her friend's family and her friend. She doesn't want to trouble them with any of that. And we
Yeah.
see that, when she doesn't tell them anything going on, which kind of made me mad because I'm like, that's your best friend. Please tell her what's going on. But, that really just shows her character and how she didn't want to bother anyone, even the people that she is the closest to.
Because she's not secure. She doesn't truly, she's never really learned that she can truly count on anybody. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. It was definitely this is the episode two where after all of that happens, doesn't like the fire break out at Sang Yang's apartment,
Oh,
but
yeah.
he's like
Hmm.
fine with it and they're interviewing him and like you have to think this is the part that I'm just like was he just like, oh, this is perfect because she is getting a new like maybe like he's just over here like kind of the wheels are spinning. But like, I just love how right away, right, we see them introduced, but then they just keep getting woven into each other's lives with different things. Because even like after all of that happened, she's going to the reporting site for the fire. And of course, he's
He's
there and
there.
he's like, yeah, that was my, and they're just like all like, going
There's
around.
also, don't they end up like she kind of ends up getting dragged into like a dinner he's going to with Su Huan. Huan's like picks him up and then she ends up having to get in the car and then
Mm.
like Huan makes a joke about like, oh, didn't you guys have a thing when you were younger? And I was like, I wrote in my notes, I was like, why do her friends just always land them right in it? Like
They do.
they're always just like, let
They're
me just say the most
nosy.
embarrassing thing, you know?
Yeah,
But it
absolutely.
works for them, though. It works for them.
Yeah, it works,
It
yes.
does, yeah.
It does work for them. So then we have episode three, which is when the forced cohabitation trope really kicks in. And do you know what? I thought they were going to drag this out a little bit longer. In
Yeah.
all honesty, I thought they were going to drag this so much longer, but no, we got like the forced cohabitation episode three. These two are living together, and I'm like, I kind of love that, we are getting this so early on. Episode three is titled Everyone Needs a Romantic Interest. You're my romantic interest. So that's what episode three is titled. Do you see what we mean about the titles,
I'm
Becky?
missing out. I've not seen any of these. Like, that's so
Yeah.
rude.
Um, so yeah, I've got down for episode three, seeing Sangyan at the end of the episode walking through his burned down apartment and all he cared about was his old phone boxes with messages to her in high school. And I'm like, I am down bad. Like this man, this whole apartment is burnt down all of a sudden, and all he cares about is this one box of things that like is all his tickets from visiting her and all the notes of and I'm like this man, I love it. I'm here for it. This is like a man in love who's never loved anyone else in his life but her. And that's very clear from like the very early episodes, I think. Um,
And then
So
he's trying to be like all cold, but you can totally see through it. Like he gets that really right. Like that he's able to do the kind of cool, cold exterior, but you can see in his eyes that he genuinely cares for her and he wants her to be okay. And then like even just you kind of start to see the beginning of all the many acts of service he does for her, like the giving her the better room.
the
Yeah.
bigger bedroom.
Yeah.
And then buying the cat tree. Oh my goodness, for her
Yeah.
cat. But like
The
all
Yeah,
of
cat.
the
but he's like, oh, it came with it came with the other stuff I was buying, so it was just like, it just, I thought
yeah.
I might as well. He just always does it like as if it was just like, as
He's
if he
like
hasn't thought about it at all.
exactly. And then also just the throwbacks. Like I love it because we're introduced, he's like this cool guy, right? He
Mhm.
owns this bar. He's the, like they have a past, but then we start seeing these like throwbacks and they gradually throw them in. So like, where he's a total loser and he's just so down, like he's like willing to do so many ridiculous things to get
Mhm.
her attention, to get more time to spend with her. And
Hmm.
it's like I love that because like I said, it's so gradual, but the more we start seeing his perspective and his point of view, we're like, "Oh my God, he's in love with her. Like he's been in
Yeah.
love with her. He'll do
Yeah.
anything to protect and be with her." And I love it. It's so good.
I will say this is one of the things that kind of connects the two Sangyans, whether it's Sangyan as a brother or Sangyan as a lover. It's the fact that this man acts like he's so cool, but he cares immensely. So he cares a lot about his sister, and he obviously cares a lot about Yifan. And I think, again, that's definitely one of the things that connects the two characters together, whether it be played by Victor Ma or whether it, played by Jingting. It's about this very almost cold facade and then this very warm and like caring guy on the inside. So I loved that. Episode episode 4, I have to talk about something in episode 4 because not a lot of people will understand like the significance of one of these scenes. So episode 4 is titled Rumors. I'll dispel the rumors for you. And so in this episode, we have it is the episode where he buys all the things for her cat. Oh, can we just talk about her cat? Because that cat is freaking an MVP. It's so pretty. It's such a pretty cat.
And
So
it's so
yeah.
well behaved, like it must be
Yeah,
so well
I
stay.
trained.
agree. Yeah. Just stays in the same spot for like I mean, definitely well trained.
I don't understand because like that's not. I'm not a cat owner, but from the cats that I've seen, they do not tend to be like that still in general. Um, but yeah, so one of the things we have in episode 4, and I don't know if a lot of, listeners will be familiar with this, but she pays for something, or he sends her money. He sends her money for rent or something along those lines, right? Yeah, he sends her money and she has to give him change, and she gives him 520 change, right? Now, to us as Westerners, we don't understand why she's having this huge reaction of sending him 520 and change. I don't know. Do you guys know? Because, like, so basically,
I saw
520.
something about it.
Yeah, the thing is, this is very common. If you watch a lot of dramas, this is quite common. But 520 is Wu Er Ling, which sounds like Wo Ai Ni, which is I love you in Chinese. So a lot of people like that's her reaction is like the 520 thing. And even like 20 sorry, the 520, the 20th of May is known as like Chinese Valentine's Day and everything. So it's very funny. And I think that's why she had like that big reaction to him. And I feel like, a lot of people would be like, why the hell is she so stressed about sending, 520 back as change? That's the reason. Now in episode 4, guys, did you expect our second couple to be sleeping together by
I know.
episode 4?
No, that was like a huge shock to me. I was like, what is going on? There's no gradual anything. But then, of course, after, all of that happens. But no, I did not expect it at all.
I feel like it kind of
Me,
works for them
yeah,
though. I
Oh,
it
feel like
does.
absolutely.
it was funny. I feel like it was funny and it was, it was done well.
Yeah. And I feel like they worked backwards. So they slept together first and then they kind of went and caught it. Like he kind of ended up courting her
Yeah.
along the drama. So they kind of like started backwards a bit.
Backwards.
Yeah, yeah. I also wrote down for episode four. Episode four, also known as Sangyan being jealous, because we have like their male friend that comes back to visit,
Oh, the one from Hong
and
Kong.
yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, Sangyan gets white. So it's his name's Xiang Lang, and it's him getting very jealous constantly, and I'm like, this is hilarious, hilarious.
One of my,
Also,
oh, sorry.
no, go go.
One of my favorite scenes, when the friend returns is they're driving to the place and everyone's in the car. And he just asks, like, oh, hey, like, did you know that she was gonna be your roommate? And he goes, yeah, that's why I moved in. Like, he's like, yeah, that's why, and then it's
Yeah,
just like, I was giggling. I was so
yeah,
excited. I was like,
yeah.
yes, and she was just like, oh, like,
Oh, 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 what's happening? What's happening? And do you know what? I think like for Sangyan, he's so effortlessly cool. Like this character is just like effortless at being cool in general.
Mhm.
And it just comes out with these one-liners with like it and it's like how it's just so cool and swoony at the same time. The amount of
And then she's
confidence.
so flustered.
Exactly.
yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
I loved the bit in that episode where he catches her peeking on the balcony. He catches her peeking at him,
Yeah.
and then
Oh
she's
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. They're both looking at each other like
hmm.
peeking. No, I did really, really like that one. So then we're on to episode five, which is titled Get Closer, Won't You? Um and the big note that I have for episode five is them playing the game in the bar and Xiang Lang saying his biggest regret is going abroad to university instead of Yi He, and then flashback to the female lead saying she won't go to Nauru University with Sangyan because she already had plans with someone else. Now I wrote because these are all my obviously my original notes. So I'm writing these as I'm watching with no hindsight of what's going to happen later on in the show. So I wrote, I'm assuming she didn't go to Nauru because of either the assault or money, not because she had somebody else. Obviously, that was the case. And then, and then in that scene, in that bar game, everybody's like, "Oh, what was the last city you traveled to?" And Sangyan just very much outwardly admits the last city was Yihe. That was, um,
The tension in that game too.
the
Like the
tension in that
building tension.
scene. It's insane because then she ends up confirming and saying she doesn't admit it to everybody else, but she admits it to her friend that like her biggest regret was going to Yihe instead of going to Nauru University. It's like it's her biggest regret. And like the tension between these characters in this scene is so well performed. I was like edge of my seat. And the scene itself is really not that big of a deal, but it's the tension and how like it's being played and the fact that he keeps winning, but then when it comes to her turn, he loses on purpose. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
swoon.
Well, they had a scene at the end of the episode where it was just like he's trying to get her to read his mind and like figure out like to finally win or something, and she just can't figure it out. But just the way that their body language works, like both of them, the way they try to communicate with each other just through like eyebrow raises or just like
Hmm.
looking at each other a certain way, like that was just perfect.
Do you know what, like
I agree.
another like little side thing about that whole scene is also like you can totally see that what's the friend's name again? The one that went to Hong Kong?
Oh,
Um,
Shang Lang.
Zhang Lang, like you can totally see that he's into Wen Yifan, and you
Oh,
also can
absolutely.
see Su Zai Zai. What's her name again? That's terrible.
Stop.
Si
But you
Chow.
can, yes, you can also see her clock it. I think it's a great performance from her because you see
Mhm,
her like really subtly clock it, and then you go,
mhm,
"Oh,
mhm.
she's got feels something for it." Like I just think that's a really clever wee like moment of
Wait. Yeah. No, you
yeah,
just made me realize, Laura, because, in that scene, she clocked it and then she's drinking by the bar, all upset and sad and
Mhm.
alone. And then the guy's friend is there. And then the next thing we see, the scene of them in bed together. So
yeah.
it's just like, so yeah, that was actually probably what drove her to drink more that night because she's like, I've been waiting for him to come back and then all of that. And then, yeah. Oh
And
my
it's like
gosh.
those like little tiny details that you go like this, someone's thought this through, you know?
Yeah,
Mhm, mhm,
exactly.
mhm, mhm. So then we're on to episode 6, right? And episode 6 is titled "I Will Always Be With You. Will You Always Be With Me?" Now, this episode is a really big episode in terms of we get to see a little bit more of Yifan's background and its spring festival. One of my favorite thing. So we get to see her dad got really sick. And Sangyan was there for the whole thing. Sangyan was there supporting her. He missed out school. He's running after this bus to kind of accompany her.
When
And
he lets
then,
her hide under his jacket to cry
yeah, and
on the
she's like,
bus.
Oh
Oh,
my gosh,
shut.
that part.
Oh, that scene is heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. Because he knows that's probably the only amount of comfort that she will allow him to give her in that moment, right? So I love that. Um, and then I have down him cooking for her on Spring Festival. And the line here is it's Spring Festival Eve. It's time for reunion. So let's eat at the same time. And that's what Yifan says to Sangyan because he's cooked for her. And yeah, and then later on in the episode, oh, like this thing later on in the episode, I put the flashback in this episode really gave us much more of Yifan. Her father died. Her mum pushed her off to her grandma, who then got sick and died. So she then got pushed to her uncle. Um,
Yeah.
and it's like she's been pushed around from person to person. The only person who truly loved and cared about her was her father, and that was taken away from her. So you get a lot of background to her story here. And then I also said Sangyan lending her money when she asked, I can lend you however much you need. Just call me next time you lose money. Because so she basically, this is in the flashback, they were in high school, and he's basically saying to her, she loses, well, her uncle or her uncle, the bad guy takes money away from her to gamble. And she's supposed to go and buy these vegetables or whatever it is for dinner. And now she has no money and she's going to get told off. And like Sangyan's just like, here, like, that's fine. I
but
can lend you some money.
he runs to go and get it for her
Yeah.
too. Like he's like,
Yeah.
wait, let me help. And then he runs
Yeah.
and he
He's
comes
like,
back all sweaty.
like, stay right there. Just
Yeah.
stay right there. I'll be right back.
Isn't
Um,
Sangyan the ultimate definition of if he wanted to, he would?
yeah.
For sure.
He just finds her very upset and he's like, I don't have money on me, but I will. Just hang on. I'm going to get some money. I'm going to get my wallet. Um so yeah, I loved. And we also get a flashback in this episode of him absolutely rushing his like family dinner so he
Oh
can go
That's what I
back
was gonna
home.
say. Oh my gosh. Yes. Because, like, they're just like, oh, you're here. Stay a while. He's like, I have to eat this. I have to go. And then he gets back and he's just like, yeah, it's just too crowded, too crowded. Just wanted to get away. But then, of course, in the next episode, like the sisters just like, what? There's no
Super
one.
quiet in our
There's
house.
like,
Yeah, there's no
there's
one at
no
our
one's
house. What
no
do you
one's
mean?
visiting. Which is like almost, it's so fun to see him caught in that lie, but also to see like the sister talking more about that too. But that's in the next episode.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Did you guys have any more thoughts about episode 6? I don't think.
I think I've just written, I Googled what jiaozi is and now I'm hungry because the dumplings looked really good.
Oh, they
And then
did.
the other thing I wrote down was there's a line, I think it's maybe Sang Yan that asks Wen Yifan when he gets back from his parents and she's watching the kind of New Year's coverage and he says, "Did they sing Unforgettable tonight?" And I've put a note, remind me to look up that song, and then I didn't. But I wondered if like that was something significant, if maybe that's like a
I
song
don't
that always gets sung in New Year.
know.
I
So
don't know.
that up and then you can confirm it on another episode.
Yeah, we'll have to look it up. So yeah, so then we have episode 7. And episode 7 is titled A Secret That Can't Be Kept. Now, I one of the things that I put down for episode 7 is Sang Tzu and Sang Yan bickering will never get old. Like these two siblings bickering. I'm so glad and happy that they kept this aspect of hidden love because these two bickering is gold. Absolute gold. It's so true to like brother sisters
Mhm.
relationships, I feel. Um so yeah, I'm just really happy that they that they kept that aspect of it. I said I also put Sangzi asking why she picked Yihe when Nanwu was the better choice for her major. And obviously Sangyan tells her, keep talking. I also want to hear the answer. And I'm just like, oh, because that is very much a big deal between them. It's the fact
Yeah,
that she chose the other university when they had agreed to go to Nanwu together. So that is a huge kind of like
like the
thing
elephant in
around
the
them.
room. Yeah.
Mm, mm. Um, and then I said, oh, this scene broke me. Um, her agreeing, so Yifan agreeing to have dinner with her mother, only to be bamboozled with a brother that she
Mhm.
didn't know she had, and her aunt asking her for money for her cousin's wedding. And I'm just
Crazy.
like, what?
This
And
was the
this is kind
beginning
of
of my like deep fiery hatred for her family, especially her mother. I,
Oh,
as a
same.
mum myself, I was
horrible.
like the amount of things that happened with that mother that I just like filled me with such rage. How
Mm.
a mother could do what this mother does on
And the
so many
thing
occasions.
is, and the thing is, with her mother, like realistically speaking, her mother doesn't do anything to her. Do you know what the problem with her mother is? It's how passive her
Yeah.
mother is. So
Yeah.
things are happening to Yifan, and the mother is not protecting Yifan. She's just letting things happen, right?
Yeah.
So,
There's points where like Yifan is sobbing on the phone,
mhm,
begging her mother
mhm.
to help her, and her mum's just like, "Oh, it'll be fine. Just deal with it." And I'm just like, as a mum, how could you hear your child absolutely breaking her heart and
Yeah.
not want to make it better? Like, oh, I just don't understand. It like makes me so mad.
It's just like she doesn't care enough, and that's, that
Hmm.
gets brought up, she cares more about her new family than her old family. And that's just so hard because, she just gets brushed off all the time, even if something really terrible is happening. And we go into it later in the episodes of, what comes from that. But it is so hard to see, those flashbacks, to see when she does reach out for help. And it kind of puts in perspective why she doesn't reach out for help anymore because, when she did, she just get brushed aside. So she
Mhm,
believes that
mhm.
even if she were to ask, that would happen with everyone that she would reach out to. So it's really hard. Definitely, emotional in that aspect.
Mm. And I think it's also the point where Yi Fan kind of learns that there is only one person she can rely on, and that's herself. And
Exactly.
unfortunately, she probably in her mind, and I think that's kind of like why I understand. I don't like her actions later on, but why I understand. And
Hmm.
it's the fact that Yi Fan has learned. So this family that's supposed to love me, so my mother and everything, do this to me. What will these people that have no blood ties to me do? And it's really
Yeah.
hard to deprogram yourself out of like a traumatic childhood, so to speak. So again, I don't like the actions, but I can kind of see where they come. And then she comes home from that interaction, and Sangyan is there lighting fireworks with her. And it's kind of like symbolizes he is the only bright light in her life. Like he is always bringing light to her life. I
And
think
he's
after
kind of
such,
becoming like safety too for her.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, go ahead, Becky. What are you gonna say?
Oh, I wanna just touch on the really funny moment though with his sister, which was when she just was talking about how like, yeah, remember that one time you told me to pretend to be lost?
The ice
And
cream.
and and we get to see that flashback, and it is the most hilarious thing. It's almost like the first, I think, flashback we see where we see him really being like, he wants to hang
Goofy.
out with her. He'll do anything. And that is literally asking his little sister, like, hey, go over to that girl, pretend you're lost, say you're meeting your brother at this bridge, and, and it's so silly because, like, she just starts talking about it. Like, it's a secret. And she's just like, yeah, remember when you pretended to have me, be lost so you could. And he's like, no, 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 no. Like, they start bickering a little bit. But that
Mm.
was, gosh, I was laughing so hard at that scene. That was so funny.
I've written in my notes, Sangja landing him right in it. That whole
Yeah,
conversation, like she lands him right in it.
Yeah,
she does. She
I
does.
love
She
it.
does. Uh, so then we have episode 8, and episode 8 is titled "The Sun in the Rain, Dazzling and Warm," which is just a beautiful title. Like, I feel like that's just such a beautiful title. And I have my first green note. What I mean by that, so my notes I are highlighted. Yellow is things that I like really wanted to make sure I talk about on the podcast. And then like my green ones are my freaking favorite scenes in the whole drama. And the first one that I have in like green is her episode 8, her Yifan walking out of her room and into his arms when he's out of the shower. His trepidation, the shake of his voice, the camera angles, and how light reflects their image of her leaning on him made for such a beautiful scene. The fact that when the camera is on him, it's focused, and when it's on her, it isn't because she's sleepwalking. But he doesn't realize. She then is explaining the dream to a friend, and the imagery is just so good. She's in the darkness, and then she sees the sun to warm up. Sangyan being the one she hugged is the sun and her warmth. And I'm like, I need a minute. After I saw this scene, I was just like, I need a minute because we first just see this scene from Sangyan's perspective, right? We see what he's seeing. So she's walking, sleepwalking, and she walks right into him. And the way Bai Jingting acts this scene is just so freaking good because you can hear it. Like you can hear the trepidation in his voice, like the shake of his voice when he's like, "What's wrong? Like, what's wrong with? Why are you hugging me?" Right?
Yeah.
It's so, and you've got like driplets of water coming down him because he's just come out of the shower. And when the camera is right on his face, everything is focused because he's awake. But when you change it and like it's focused on her, it's like she's out of focus because of the way the light is coming through, but it's because she's also asleep. And I'm like, this directing is just so like the imagery used in this scene is just top notch. I loved that scene. Loved that scene. Um and then having her describe her dream afterwards, I was like, I can't even. This like the imagery that they're using is that basically what's the word? Unconsciously that's what he is to her, like her son, her warmth. And I was like, oh, I can't. What did you guys think about this scene?
It was so good. Like the fact when she was sleepwalking and walking towards him and he made a little joke. Like he was like, "Oh, come to see me." Like, because he just got out of the shower, but then he
Mm-hmm.
she keeps walking and he
Mm-hmm.
like you were saying his voice starts like shaking a little bit and he's like, "What's going on? Like what's happening?" And then like the way he acted in that scene, you can just see the yearning of how
Mm-hmm,
much he
mm-hmm,
like wants to, do something, but he's not sure what to do. He's
mm-hmm.
so anxious, but also like he doesn't want it to end, you know?
It's also like
He's
such a departure from like his usual character of being like the cool,
exactly.
collected, yeah.
And that was a great scene. Honestly, I had no idea there was going to be sleepwalking. So when that happened, I'm like, like I was like pumping my fist in the air. I'm
Is
like,
this a
we're gonna get
trope you like,
so many
Becky?
good scenes. We're gonna get so many amazing
Yeah, yeah.
scenes of her sleepwalking and him just like trying to be her safety net and like helping her
Mm-hmm,
out.
mm-hmm.
And like, oh my gosh, I was so excited. You have no idea.
I also
Yeah,
loved how
and
in that scene he doesn't touch her.
Yeah.
no, no, he does
We
not.
we love a consensual king.
Yeah.
He doesn't touch her because he knows she's not awake, and so he just tries to keep her safe, but doesn't. He
Yeah.
doesn't overstep at all. He's so respectful of her space and like yeah.
And that's a fact that runs throughout the drama. Every time that she's sleepwalking, he's like it's her that comes to him, and he's like trying to keep her safe without, you know, touching her. And even later on, when she kind of just, goes into his bedroom to sleepwalking, he kind of removes himself away from that situation. So very much a consensual king here. We adore that. We adore when we see consent, and he knows that he does not have consent. So, yeah. And also, episode 8 is the episode where we get the flashback to Yifan being told that she's no longer. Her mother's no longer going to be paying for her dance lessons. And
Oh,
Sangyan, the man that Sangyan is, and then, like, at this point, he's a kid, he's a teenager, whatever. And he goes through all around town to find mirrors and find a spot that she can dance. And then he just stands there, like, watching her dance. And he's like, this look of pure adoration on this kid's face. And I wrote,
There's also a beautiful like visual of him like he's sitting kind of on top of the roof I guess and he's looking down
Mhm,
at her watching her dance and the like bridges behind him in the sky and like
mhm.
oh
it's an
yeah.
amazing shot. I wrote that down because I was like, oh, that looks so just amazing, beautiful.
I
Anyway,
saw
sorry, I interrupted.
Oh, I saw a video the other day where it said, imagine you are just like in town and you see this 17-year-old kid gathering mirrors going up to the top of a building. Like, you're like, what is he doing this for? And he's doing it all for her. So she can have, a place to dance and a place to express herself. Because he was right there when the mom said, I'm not your dream isn't gonna do it, we're not doing that anymore. Um, and it's just the way he's always there for her. It was so beautifully
Mhm,
written and so
mhm.
beautifully done, like you said, with the cinematography.
And I just wrote down for that again in big, bold writing. Ladies, if he wanted to, he would. And I know these are fictional men, but I'm sure they got to be out there. Like, if he wanted to, he would. And I feel like this show, a lot of it is just showing women that you are worthy of love and you are worthy of a beautiful love.
To be cherished, it's that's what he does. He cherishes her.
He cherishes her.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So we're moving on to was that episode 8? Oh yeah. I have another green highlight for me on on my on episode 8. Episode 8, I have quite a few notes. And I put I love the interaction with Yifan and Si Chiao. Basically, this is after Yifan, there's a whole kerfuffle about with Yifan, Xianglang, and Si Chao, where they kind of are in this unwanted love triangle and Si Chao kind of. And I honestly thought, oh my God, is this gonna go the way that these two besties are gonna break up because Si Chao is in love with Xianglang and Xianglang is in love with Yi Fan? Is this what we're gonna do?
I was
And I
stressing.
was so happy that that was not the case. And I was like, oh my God. And I wrote down the conversation that these two girls have with each other. And it says, I love the interaction with Yifan and Si Chao. she and Yifan says, I've made things clear with Xianglang. I don't want any misunderstandings between the three of us. And then Siqiao says, is it because of me? And Yifan says, if I really got together with Xianglang, would you cut ties with me? And Siqiao then says, of course not. It's a different time now. Who would ditch their best friend for a man? And then Yifan replies, actually, the main reason why I rejected Xianglang is because I don't have any romantic feelings towards him. And my notes were, I love good women friendships where they talk it out and they resolve the situation and they're like, no. And Siqiao even says, even if you did like him and you were to accept him, then that's on me to deal with my feelings. You are still my best friend. I would still want to see you happy. And I'm just like, I love these two. It's not just the fact that the romance in this is good, but like the surrounding relationships are also very good.
Although maybe this is a controversial opinion
Mm.
because I can understand Wen Yifan's perspective, but I do wish that Zichao got a bit more back. Like it seems like she's a real giver. She gives a lot of
Mm.
herself and
Mm-hmm,
she's there for
mm-hmm.
everyone around her. And I feel as a character, I think that's just who she is as a character. And I don't think it's an issue, but I would have liked to have seen her. I mean, I think that's maybe why it's nice that we get to see her developing a relationship with Suhan,
Mm-hmm,
because I do
mm-hmm,
feel like that's a real thing for her is that she's really there for everybody. And sometimes I find myself watching her thinking, who's actually there for you?
mm-hmm,
You
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
know, who's going to drop everything and run to you? I don't know.
I I have something. This might be too much of a spoiler, so just let me know. But there was a part, and this is, way later, but you know how we see her do all those side jobs, and she's constantly keeping herself busy and she's constantly doing things.
Yeah.
And then we find out the reason why. I was like, that is like so almost devastating because she wanted to keep herself busy when her friend disappeared, so she wouldn't think about it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that is just, oh my goodness, that is heart-wrenching. Exactly like what you said, like who's there for her? And
Yeah.
so that's why it was nice to see, her start to get that romance and start to find someone, for her. Since, you got to think about it from her perspective. And that's why I was just like, I'm really glad that they have that friendship that wouldn't be swayed or destroyed by, any man. But like she thought he gave her that bracelet. She wore that for years because she thought that her child, like her guy best friend, liked her, but he liked the other friend. And I was
Mm-hmm.
just like,
Mm-hmm.
that's crazy. But, with their friendship, running so deep and them, just loving each other so much, that friendship was just so beautiful to see, she didn't let anything sway her. She's like, of course I'd still be your friend. Um, but
And she
like
never, at no point does she ever make Wen Yifan feel bad about her doing the things that she needed to do.
exactly, yeah.
Even although it did, as a byproduct, she was hurt by that.
Yeah.
She
Mm-hmm.
knows it's
Mm-hmm.
not really about her, so she doesn't ever, and I think that's true friendship,
It's a beautiful friendship.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think like with the whole bracelet thing, I mean, it was never Yifan's fault. Yifan
No,
never
yeah.
gave
No,
him,
absolutely not. No.
but they could have picked up on that and they could have gone down the route of them misunderstanding each other. But Yifan never gave him any hope. If
Mm.
anybody was to blame, the only person to blame was Shang Lang, who should have just been very clear from the start and been like, I'm really sorry, the bracelet isn't for you. Right?
Yeah.
So he was the crummy friend. He is the crummy friend in this like little trio. And I think what they're trying to show with Yifan's character and Si Chiao's character is Si Chiao is this caring and this giving because she has a beautiful family that
Hmm.
supports her unconditionally and loves her unconditionally, right?
Yeah.
Although she sometimes does seem like a giver, her family also give her a lot.
That's
She gets
true.
a lot of love. So, although I can understand where you're coming from in the sense that it feels like she doesn't get listened to or, doesn't get as much thing. But I feel like that's the curse of the second female lead in an instance where
Yeah.
you don't have a triangle in terms of love, a love triangle. So I feel like what they're trying to get as this is what a human that comes from a loving family feels like, right? So,
Yeah.
and I think later on, she doesn't jump right into a relationship with Suhan. She makes Suhan work for that
Oh,
relationship.
absolutely. Yeah.
So I feel like I don't, that's why I feel like I'm not as mad about it because I feel like there's other places where she does, you know, get given that
Yeah, like I'm not mad about it.
situation.
I
Oh,
think
yeah, yeah,
if you look like even just the dynamic, I don't know. I just feel that there was points where probably I thought I can understand why Wen Yifan like loves you, but I don't think we learn enough about their earlier relationship that we know why it works the other way too.
yeah.
Just
Yeah,
because Wen Yifan is the female lead and she's going through what she's going through, and like it's not her
yeah.
fault. It's not like a
Hmm.
character flaw or anything. It's just a one of those things that I think I wish we knew more about the beginnings of their relationship. But I mean, that would have made it too long a drama. So,
I feel like maybe we could have seen it in flashbacks like we did for, you know,
I
the
agree.
main pairing. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um so then we have episode 9, which is called False of Heart, Honest of Action. And for episode 9, we get an umbrella scene, which is always nice. An umbrella scene is always nice in any drama, any romance. We always need an umbrella scene. I also have Sangyan putting on a horror movie so Yifan will come and sit on the sofa and watch it with him, even though this man is petrified of these movies. And then her scooting closer to him and saying, I'm afraid I'll get scared later to help him get over his fright. I'm like,
mhm.
I'm just snickering over here because this shows kind of like how Yifan panders to him, right? Because we so often see Sangyan pandering to her that we sometimes may think, well, what does he get out of it? And it's little things like this where she doesn't almost hurt his ego,
Yeah.
if you know what I mean. So yeah, I really like that. And one of the other scenes that I have for episode 9 as well is they're talking about first loves, right? And the Yifan says maybe only girls care about first love. And Sangyan says not necessarily, the place of first love is irreplaceable. And he's talking about her because she's his first love. And I'm just like, this man. So yeah, I don't really have much more on the episode 9. Did you guys have anything?
That episode had a lot of Si Chow's, no, Su Han's granny and stuff. That was that all that stuff.
Oh,
Remember, like she got
yes.
hired to like spy on the granddad
Oh,
and
that was that episode.
yeah.
Which then comes to like their whole situation later on, which is quite sad.
hmm
But
Yeah, that
also,
was
yeah.
yeah. That was also the grocery store episode, right? When they go to the
Oh
grocery
yeah,
store
that was so cute.
together.
And every time
Yes.
he's putting all the treats he sees her looking at in the trolley
He just
as they
keeps
go
Putting in
adding
the
by.
it.
tray. Right.
It was so cute.
That scene spoke right to me because I'm a Taurus, and people who are Taurus or have, Taurus signs people in their lives, they know we are very much a food orientated.
Maybe that's why you and I get along because I'm also a Taurus.
Are you? Oh,
Yeah.
there you go then. And if people feed me, I will be very nice to you for the most part.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The grocery
Uh,
episode, we
And
also
then
got to see him jealous, right? Because
I
he
was just
like
gonna say
pushed.
that, yeah.
yes, that's the umbrella
Yeah.
scene.
The umbrella scene. So nothing makes an umbrella scene better than a jealous man who's trying to be like, no, this is the umbrella you'd use, not that one. That was great. I just want to say I did not like that little kid. He looked like a little kid. I didn't like him, and that is all I will say about that because he came up quite a lot in the show. I thought that was only going to be a one-time thing, so
Yeah, he
He's
got a lot of airtime,
he got
that
too
Yeah,
much
he's
character.
not needed. I
airtime,
don't
Yeah.
personally,
understand
in my
why.
opinion.
I don't too much airtime. I will say that is one of
Yeah,
my niggly things.
way too
Is
much.
that Cheng Yun does not need to be in so many of this drama. Like
Yeah.
not at all. I don't understand the purpose of his character in any shape or
Just
form.
as like a slight antagonist to Sang
Yeah, I
Yan.
think so. I
The
think
thing
Yeah.
is,
so.
though, I don't think it was that impactful. That's the thing that I think annoys me the most about it because we got to see him probably more than the childhood friend, and he had more story in the
Mhm.
plot than this kid that just shows up and is an intern and is just so annoying. Oh my God, he's like a mosquito. I really. I was not having a fun time anytime he was on screen. And like maybe there was like small little scenes that like, oh yeah, he was there to witness something or he was there to, but I was so worried, and this is kind of skipping ahead a little bit, but I was
Mhm.
so worried that one of the office workers, like the girl office worker, was gonna get mad that he was giving our female lead more attention than her because obviously she
Mhm.
fancied him, and I was worried there's going to be some office politics or she was going
Oh
to do
yeah.
something. But I was so glad they didn't go that route because I was like, please do not hurt our
Don't do
female
this.
lead more. She's gone through enough. But yeah, I just love a jealous umbrella scene.
A jealous
It
umbrella. You
was
should put that
me.
on a t-shirt.
Jealous umbrella?
A jealous
Ooh.
umbrella.
Why is that so
There you go.
catchy? I love
Jealous
that.
umbrella scene.
New band, the Jealous
The jealous
Jealous
Umbrellas.
umbrella.
umbrellas.
The jealous umbrellas.
We get hats, and then we'll get like a yellow umbrella to like sit because that's the umbrella. And then when
It
people come
is.
up and they're like, "What does your hat mean?" You're like, "Do you not watch dramas? Like, have you
Well,
never seen a Jealous
Let me
Umbrella scene?"
tell you.
I love it.
Um, so we're on to episode 10, and the episode 10 is named You Forgot, But I Still Remember. I have huge chunks for episode 10. Episode 10 is like a pinnacle moment in this drama. One of the first ones that I have is a flashback, and it's that we get to see more of Yifan's past. And this is a scene you mentioned earlier, Becky, where Yifan is begging her mum to take her back, that she'll get on with her half sister. Her mum saying she won't do it. Her uncle saying he isn't obligated to take care of her. Everyone saying she's having a romance when she isn't, which then led her to ask Sangyan to not bother her. Her telling her bestie all of this, and the bestie giving such good advice. It's never too late to apologize. So that is Xiao's advice. This scene is relevant because in the flashback, her aunt made her expensive chicken soup and
the
says
chicken soup.
Yifan, yeah,
Oh.
Yifan doesn't need anything like that. So in the present day, she says to Xiao, it's not that I can't have expensive things, it's that they seem wasted on me. The next day, Sangyan has bought expensive chicken soup for her. This soup is especially for you. And I wrote down, to be loved is to be seen. And like he sees her on a level that no other person does. And I think this scene was just so. I can't even. This scene was just, there's so much to unpack. The fact that we got to see that she was treated horribly from all sides constantly. And then
Yeah.
the only person that he treats her right, which is Sangyan, the aunt is trying to take that away from her in, the past. And I'm just like, I
That
can't
aunt is a
even.
He's a piece of work. I've
Piece of
written that
work, that woman.
before we even find out the rest of it. But like even in this episode, that's the first thing I've written about the ant. This ant is a piece of work. What is her
Can,
problem?
Mm,
can I
mm.
just say, do you know, I The aunt, obviously, she's an actress. Why is she's in every single drama I'm watching right now. So like the first Frost, I'm like, this character is so awful. Oop, I was like, this character is so awful. I don't like her. And then I'm like, oh, I get to see her again and again and again and again. But she's
Mm.
a different person, obviously, right? But I'm like, she is booked and busy. Goodness. But no, exactly with like the chicken soup and everything, like the fact that he kind of like followed her home, but not in like a creepy way, right? Like he just wanted to make
Yeah,
sure
not in a creepy way. Let's move
she
back.
she got
He's worried
home
about her. He's because he senses
and
something's off, and he's like,
she
hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
and she's not going to tell him. So he's just kind of like, let me kind of snoop around. And then he overhears, the aunt. I mean, the aunt is just like constantly calling, like being like, you're a heartlet. All you do is care about who are you seducing now? You don't
It's
deserve like any type of
horrendous.
nutrients in your body. Like, this isn't for you. Like, I mean, the way she treats her. And it's so sad to see him like overhear that because
Hmm.
I mean, he's finally kind of putting the pieces together, because he saw some of it, but now he's like, oh, they don't even like care for her in a sense of like even
Hmm.
trying to feed
Hmm.
her like good food. Like they don't, and it's just so heartbreaking.
And it's the way they're all complicit as well. Like, so
Yeah.
Hmm.
yeah, the aunt's horrible, but they're all complicit because she doesn't have a single ally in that home. It's not a
No,
home
It's
no.
for her.
everyone against
She has
her.
no safety. Yeah.
it's
It's really
always
hard.
it's always that argument of, are you guilty by default because you did nothing? And
Hmm.
in my opinion, yes, you
Hmm.
could have stopped it, you could have helped, so you are just as guilty of that abuse even if you did not commit it yourself. So I hate the aunt with a fervent passion. Hate the aunt.
Same.
Good riddance. Die in the deepest, hottest pits of hell, please and thank you. That's like how I
Liliana.
that's how much I viscerally dislike
Yeah.
this aunt. um because I feel
It's
like the way she treats Yifan is just inhuman. It's
yeah.
almost like Yifan is a bug. And I'm like, what do you mean? That I hate this
You
lady.
know what what it is as well is it's the aunt and the mother. They're just weak women. It's
Yeah.
like they're weak and they're complicit in the bad behavior of the people around about them, and they maybe don't do anything outright, but they are complicit in all of it because they're so weak that they can't show. I just think it's horrendous. It's women as well. Like they're just. Oh, they're the worst. They're the worst.
And
I hate them. I hate them so much.
the thing that's interesting about that is they're protecting the men. The
Yeah.
men are doing all these really terrible things. Even not going to say the spoiler, but like at the end, you find out some stuff and you're just like, they just are protect exactly what you said. They're complicit. They're trying to protect the people that they think will help them the most and like the people in their family line. But overall, they're protecting terrible people and not caring for the people that really need it. And it's so hard to see, especially because, I mean, they treat them like that throughout all the ages that we see all these flashbacks, they get no
Mm,
character development. They never change.
nothing.
They're always
Never.
terrible. And that is why we hate these
Hmm.
characters.
Hmm. Hmm. And the thing is, with the aunt, she is just I don't even think that that she's weak or complacent. I think she's just a terrible person because yes,
Hmm.
she's
Yeah.
protecting who she's meant to be protecting, but she's denying her food. She's denying
Hmm.
her, basic human things. She doesn't
Yeah.
need to do that to protect the bad, evil men
No.
that she wants to protect, right? So I feel like her in herself, she is a horrible woman.
I think
Um,
though, in like if for her character for me, the weakness comes from this need that she has to have Wen Yifan be in her place. It's like the only way I
Mm.
can feel big or worthy or important is if I make you feel super, super small because you're the
yeah,
person who's the easiest target for me. That's the
yeah,
weakness. It's like
Yeah.
you're an easy target for me and you've got nowhere to go and you've got no defense. And so you're who I will pick because what are you going to do about it? You know,
yeah,
who's
yeah,
going to come and
yeah.
help you? It's
I also
just,
think she was jealous of her beauty. Like I think that was also a
Yes,
big thing because
yes.
the way
Hmm.
like I mean she's just living her life as a teenage girl. She doesn't want attention. She's not interested in boys, but the conversation always turned to you are like a whore. Like you're terrible. You're seducing
Hmm.
men. You're you know like but making it seem like it's her problem even though she was just born with those looks. Like those are her looks and she's not trying to take advantage of them or anything. But every conversation was like, you are the problem because of what
mhm.
you look like.
She's just sitting and like she just wants to study. That's all she's
Literally.
doing.
That's all she wants to do. It's so heartbreaking. Like, so
Yeah.
heartbreaking.
So the last two notes that I have for episode 10, actually three notes. Uh Two of them are like my green notes, which means that like some of my favorite scenes. One of them is Sangyan figuring out it's sleepwalking and finding a way to ask her without asking, and her openly telling him, then him teasing her with, "You already hugged and kissed me when you sleepwalked." Then her asking to reenact the scene because she's saying she wouldn't be able to because of their height difference. And I was like, the freaking tension in this scene could be cut with a knife.
It was so
Um,
good.
I wrote
So
in my
good.
notes, the way my heart was in my mouth when he lowered his head.
Oh, yeah, the
I was
That's
like,
almost
such a good
kiss. And I'm like,
description.
oh, oh, oh. It's just so good. It's just so good.
Well,
That
the fact
whole
he
scene,
lied, though.
so good. Yeah, he
yeah.
did.
The fact
He
he
did.
lied.
But do
He's
you think that was
literally
he
like,
wanted to try and see her? I think it's because he
oh,
wanted to gauge her
absolutely.
response.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
He was
yeah.
like, he's like, let's see how I can, what's gonna happen. And I mean, when she's like, he's like, you could
Let's
see the
reenact it.
panic. You
Yeah, because
could
I don't,
see the
yeah.
panic. It was so good.
He's like, oh shoot, I did not mean for this. I didn't think because like it is mine. I don't think he thought she was gonna go, in that direction. So that was very, very interesting. And then the other scene, green scene that I have is him Googling sleepwalking, so he knows better. I can't even. The next night it happens, and then he's covering the corners and just slowly moving with her to protect her from hurting herself and keeping her company. And then he says, finally saw me. What are you thinking? Then the kiss, because we have a little kiss here. And I said, Bai Jingting was great here with his emotions are so clear to see. Because like he kind of like they hug, right? She's sleepwalking, they hug, and she kind of like kisses him, but he doesn't move. And I love this again because to him, he's like, he can't just physically push her. And it's not like he can try to avoid her, but it's one of those scenes, but he does not have her consent. Again, she's sleepwalking. So I really like this scene because there's a lot of tension. There's a lot of like he's just trying to like guide her back to her bed without, waking her up because you're not supposed to wake up
Mhm.
somebody who's sleepwalking. That could be really dangerous. You're just supposed to like slowly try to guide them back to their bed. So he's doing what he can. But the man is only a man, right? Um so I love that scene. I really, really, really love that scene. Yeah, the tension. Like any of the sleepwalking is always filled with a lot of tension, I feel.
Oh
On
my
his part,
gosh.
and I love that we kind of get to see him squirm a wee bit because he's like, on one hand he wants it so bad, but on the other hand he's like, but this, what's happening? Like he doesn't know
Yeah,
how to
yeah.
respond when it happens. So he's like,
Exactly.
and he does that so well.
And also just the fact that like I think it's so funny that he, lied to her and is like, "Yeah, no, you kissed me." And then that night she actually does. So he's like, "Oh my God, like I spoke this into
I have the
existence."
power.
Yeah.
Like he's like, "This is crazy." So that was really fun.
The power of suggestion. So that like the last thing I'll touch on for episode 10 is the fact that he went to her father's grave on his death anniversary. That's why he got her chicken soup. And I'm like, dude, I can't with this guy. I mean, he remembers that it's her dad's death anniversary and he doesn't just mention it. He doesn't even tell her, but he just goes to visit her father. And I'm like, I can't. I can't. This man is clearly already treating her as if she's a girlfriend or something. And he's just casually dropping in on his father-in-law's grave or whatever. So yeah, I loved that scene as well. And yeah, that's everything I've got for episode 10, I think. If you guys got anything else to say.
No, mine is just like lots of angry rants about how much I hate her mother and her aunt.
Yeah.
After
Yeah.
those flashbacks, no, absolutely. That's why I have to separate the characters from the actors because I'm like,
It's
listen,
really hard though.
this is so hard, especially
Yeah.
because it's not just the aunt. I think I don't even know what drama is. Is it Ski into Love? Because it's the mother too. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Both of them in the same room after
Again?
I'm watching the first Frost. This is rude.
It's like they're a
But
package deal.
I know. I'm working on it though. I'm working on it to separate them. But I was just like, it was almost like a jump scare. I'm not even gonna lie. Like I
Ah,
was
trauma.
I was like, excuse me. Um, yeah.
So, guys, I think I'm going to wrap up part one because we are now at 2 hours and 10 minutes for the review. So, I'm going to finish this episode here. Guys, I hope you are enjoying this review of the first Frost. And as you can guess, we have lots more to chat about. So please join us next week and tune in for the second part of this, the first Frost episode. So thank you guys, and we shall catch you in the next episode. Bye.